Before we get started, make sure you're wearing your headphones for maximum audio experience. Hello listeners, I'm your host El and welcome back to Rhyme&ReasonPodcast. I know I've talked about music on a previous episode, but there are just so many things I want to talk about music, so please do bear with me. Music is one of the simple things I enjoy in life. It helps us go through the toughest and happiest moments in life. To me, music is a blessing. It's like a gift from God, if I may. The textbook definition for music is the science or art of ordering tones or sounds in succession, in combination, and in temporal relationship to produce a composition having unity and continuity. Music is made up of sounds, right? Essentially, you can make music out of anything, from maybe tapping your keyboard to the scrubbing sound when you do the dishes. Sound, it's all around us, and you can find it in birds chirping and waves lapping against a coastline to cars honking in traffic. But sometimes, sounds are put together in purposeful ways to create a specific atmosphere or to express ideas or emotions. These organized sounds are called music. It's a collection of coordinated sound or sounds making music. It's the process of putting sounds and tones in an order, often combining them to create a unified composition. People who make music creatively organize sounds for a desired result, like Beethoven. Symphony, right? Or one of Duke Ellington's jazz songs.
Hurry, take the train to get to Sugar Hill way up in Harlem. If you should take a train, you get to where you're going in a hurry.
Music is made up of sounds, vibrations, and silent moments, and it doesn't always have to be pleasant or pretty. It can be used to convey a whole range of experiences, environments, and emotion. Although every human culture has a tradition of making music, examples of early instruments like flutes and drums have been found dating back thousands of years. Ancient Egyptians used music in religious ceremonies. Many other African cultures have traditions related to drumming for important rituals. Today, rock and roll musicians tour and perform around the world, singing the songs that made them famous. All of these are examples of music. Now, music has been around since the dawn of time. The prehistoric era was when the first man sang and played music with grunts and bones clashing on rocks and animal skin. But as time flew by, music evolved and improved. It's the simplest form of music, and it was mostly used for religious ceremonies that represented animals for rituals. There was really no way of writing music back then until 4000 BCE with the Egyptians, and the Egyptians invented the harp and flutes. And by 3500 BCE, lyres and double-kneaded clarinets were created. Centuries later, more instruments started to emerge and music developed, and it became extremely popular. There were influences from the west to the east emerged into the pre-Christian music of the Greek and later the Romans. Music practices and conventions, perhaps conveyed by traveling musicians, brought a wealth of diversity and invention. What's so interesting about music is the diversity of its genre. We have alternative, dance or electronic, classic music, rock and roll, hip-hop, R&B, metal, indie music, country, jazz, blues, acoustic, instrumentals, pop. I could keep going, but the thing is, it just keeps going. There's so many genres and subgenres that go into music. In reality, there is something for everyone. You can try and judge people by their taste of music, but you can't. To understand what music is, we need to understand the importance of music in culture and the fundamentals of music. So I want to go over a little bit into music theory. So, music theory is a practice that musicians use to understand and communicate in the language of music. It is the fundamentals of music and the system to read and interpret music. So, it's like basic music theory that defines elements that form it, meaning harmony, melody, and rhythm. It defines the compositional elements, such as the song form, tempo, notes, chords, key signatures, intervals, scales, and a lot more. It also displays the musical qualities such as the pitch, the tone, timbre, texture, dynamics, and there are a lot more things. So, the building blocks for music begins with harmony, melody, and rhythm. Harmony is when multiple music notes or voices play simultaneously to produce a new sound. It's the combination of sounds that harmonize and complement one another. This is an example of what harmony is. That was, I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with it, that was Bohemian Rhapsody by the Queens. Now, chords and chord progressions are examples of harmony. A chord has 3 or more notes that play at the same time. The chords and chord progressions in a piece of music support or complement the melody. Combining vocal parts also creates harmony. The combined voices of a choir are a perfect example. Listen to this clip. The multiple voices that make up a choir blend to make a harmonious sound. The next part is the melody. Melody is a succession of notes or voices that are arranged into a phrase. A song's melody is often the most memorable and recognizable part. For me, the most memorable and recognizable part of a song would be an example like this 2017 hit song, Young, Dumb and Broke by Khalid.
Young, dumb, young, dumb and broke. Young, dumb and broke. Young, dumb and broke. Young, dumb, broke high school kid. Young, dumb, broke high school kid.
That verse, that melody, it just sticks there. And melodies can be created with instruments or vocals. They have 2 or more notes in a sequence that sound musically pleasing. Most compositions consist of multiple melodies that repeat, and the 2 primary elements of a melody are the rhythm and the pitch. Pitch is the audio vibration produced by an instrument or voice. It's how high or low a note will sound. Arranging these pitches in a series creates a melody. Rhythm or duration is the length each pitch will sound. These durations are divided into 2 beat divisions like whole note, half notes, quarter notes, triplets, etc. Rhythm is an essential element of music with more than one meaning. For example, rhythm is a recurring movement of notes and rests or silence in time. It's the human perception of time. Rhythm also describes a pattern of strong and weak notes or voices that repeat throughout a song. These patterns can be created with drums, percussions, instruments, and vocals. The basic elements that comprise musical rhythm include the beat, a repeating pulse that underlines a musical pattern, the meter, a specific pattern of strong and weak pulses, time signature, the number of beats per measure, tempo or BPM indicates how fast or slow a piece of music plays, strong and weak beats. Strong beats are downbeats and weak beats are the offbeats between the downbeats, syncopation, rhythms that accent or emphasize the offbeats. Understanding rhythm will help you create harmonies and melodies. Also, the rhythm section or pulse propels a piece of music. It acts as the rhythmic backbone for other musical elements. Hey, have you heard of Good Pods yet? It's a new app where you can follow your friends and influencers to see what podcasts they're listening to. So for all of you who spend too much time scrolling around trying to find a new show, this will solve your problems. It works really well. Just download Good Pods from the App Store, pick some people to follow, and invite your friends. You'll never be without a podcast recommendation ever again. Also, don't forget to follow me. I have my own podcast, as you know, but I do love to get and give recommendations for other shows too. Now, back to the show. Now, for most of us, music has had its impact one way or another. Some songs define who we are as a person or a generation. One of the stupidest songs ever written would be the hashtag selfie by Chainsmokers.
How did that girl even get in here? Do you see her? She's so short and that dress is so tacky. Who wears cheetah? It's not even summer. Why does the DJ keep on playing Summertime Sadness? After you get out of the bathroom, can we go smoke a cigarette? I really need one. But first, let me take a selfie.
God, I fucking hated this song. It was spot on what today's youth and media culture. It represented the mindset that most millennials have, which is to take a selfie. Right? Me personally, I hate taking selfies. Most of my friends would know that because I really do not share any photo with my face on it unless it's required or, you know, if they're really close friends. But otherwise, you would not see an image of me or a selfie of me. Culture and music flow together. What our parents use today, kids of today would deem as lame. And in a few years, the music we think is cool now will probably be outdated. It's nothing against the music, it's just a representation, a manifestation of what's constantly changing around us. Remember, we need to be very aware of our modern day culture. But more importantly, we need to be intentional about the cultures we want to create and cultivate with our music. Music has also had its impact on our morals. Morals meaning beliefs about what the right and wrong behaviors are. There are a number of songs out there with violent and vulgar lyrics. Most of these songs live in the rap and hip-hop genre. People are often swayed by the lyrics in a song. It may not be outright obvious at first, because there are so many factors at play when it comes to building a moral compass for an individual. But we need to become wary about the messages that we are putting out with our songs. But to take it a step further, what if the songs we write intentionally carried positive messages that if they become anthems that declared hope and joy, triumphs over weaknesses, courage and love, we would have the influence to empower the hearts and minds of the next generation. And that is truly something to take a hold of. One of the obvious signs that music impacts us would be the effect on our emotional state. This is identifiable because when you feel goosebumps when you listen to a certain song, or when you suddenly feel sad or happy when you listen to the lyrics of the song carefully, It makes us feel a certain way. Music sets the mood and it creates atmosphere. And as humans, we're so behaviorally influenced by the way we feel. That's why we throw on an upbeat music when we're working out, put on jazz on a romantic date, or get up and dance when a 4 on the floor beat is going down. When I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what songs to play to get me focused and ready for the challenges I will face. Music also increases happiness. It is obvious, but the natural chemical reasoning is pretty incredible to think about. If you are ever in need of an emotional boost, let it be known that it only takes 15 minutes of listening to your favorite tunes to get a natural high. This is because your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter that leads to increased feelings of happiness, excitement, and joy when you listen to music you like. When you listen to music, various parts of your brain light up. This is because music has this effect that makes the brain activate or sort of come to life even more. Music triggers the part of our brain that deals with emotion, creativity, and motor skills. Music also helps improve our language proficiency. Now, music and language are closer to each other, believe it or not. When you listen to music, your brain memorizes the language, lyrics, and the beat of the song. This helps your brain remember a certain word better, kind of like how people sing K-pop or anime songs word for word without actually learning the meaning of the word. And when they do learn the meaning of the word, it becomes easier to remember. Another thing about music is that your personality could be defined by your taste in music. One large-scale study conducted by researchers at Heriot-Watt University looked at more than 36,000 participants from all over the world. Participants were asked to rate more than 104 different musical styles, in addition to offering information about aspects of their personality. According to the researcher, Adrian North, the reason people sometimes feel defensive about their taste in music might be related to how much it relates to attitudes and personality. North also suggests that people do define themselves through music, and it uses it as a means to relate to other people. His research points to the connection that people often make between who they are as an individual and their musical taste. Okay, so it was a fairly short episode, but I just wanted to share this information about music that I've been researching about recently. And yeah, so I talked about what music is essentially and how music has the power to culturally, morally, and emotionally influence our society. Thus, the more intentional we become with the sounds, messages, and moods we create and release through our music, the more powerful we will become in making deep, positive impacts. So we have the mandate and authority as artists and musicians to change the world around us because of the influence we carry, and that truly makes music something worth dedicating a life to. Thank you for listening to Rhyme and Reason Podcast. You can support us by subscribing to our podcast on the Anchor app. The support for our podcast will allow us to produce more interesting episodes in the future. If you like that episode, please hit that like and that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below to let us know what you think about the episode. Follow us on Twitter by clicking the link in the description. We have a weekly Twitter space so listeners can share their insights and thoughts so that they have gained from the podcast. We really love seeing your guys' support and receiving your comments. So if you have the time, do drop by. And who knows, you may just become one of our guests in an episode. See you next time.